So this is a classic ad called How to Create Advertising That Sells by David Ogilvy. This ad in like 1980 brought in something like $1.8 billion in revenue to the company. Hey, I'm Neville Medhora and I'm a copywriting expert.
This video is brought to you by Email 10K. Learn how to book meetings with billion-dollar brands and take your company to the next level at email10k.com. What are some of your favorite ads?
Well, most of my favorite ads are written by David Ogilvy. I know that sounds cliche, but I really think he was a little bit of a pioneer in a lot of this stuff. So I have like a collection of some of the Ogilvy ads over here. And let's go a couple Ogilvy style ads. So there was this whole selection of Volkswagen ads that were Ogilvy style that were just like a big picture, a headline, and text. And this was like his classic style. This was a really famous one called The Man in the Hathaway Shirt. And there was a whole series of ads like this that I've actually printed out and kept in my bedroom. They're so good. And it's just a nice looking image that's attention grabbing. It's got a headline and a bit of text. And we ran some, these are like neural models on how a human would look at a picture. And so you can see how people would go from here to here to here. Like that's how they read it. See? There.
So you're looking there. right at the face first.
Yeah. So it's kind of like an attention getting ad. You can see the shirt because it's talking about a shirt. So you see how like sharp it looks on a person. And then you follow it from the person, his eyes, or his one eye, down to the headline, down to the text. And that simple format is kind of like how dig.com is, which is just image, headline, text, image, headline, text, image, headline, text. It's just a standard format that's lasted till this day and it works super well. The other ads I like are the ones that don't have any images on them at all. So this is a classic ad called How to Create Advertising That Sells by David Ogilvy. This ad in like 1980 brought in something like $1.8 billion in revenue to the company. And the reason is what they did was instead of having a fancy art director do all this stuff, David Ogilvy just wrote out all the secrets of advertising. So they put this out in magazines and newspapers. And what that did was other advertising firms would clip this out of the magazine and save it so they can reference it themselves. So all of a sudden, David Ogilvy's agency, Ogilvy and Medhora, looked like the big boss in town because they knew what they were going to do because they just gave away their entire playbook. I mean, look how dense this is. This is an amazing ad. And then because that one was so successful, and you could always judge success by if someone keeps doing it over and over and over again over time. Like if you see the same YouTube ad for the last year, guess what? It's probably doing pretty well. Well, they launched a whole sequence of these. So this one was called How to Launch New Products. I mean, back in the day when there was no internet, could you imagine seeing like a ad filled with all this good stuff? Like you totally would cut this out and keep it. And
right, this is in an era where you'd have to go to the library to look up whatever, any sort of information.
Exactly. And this guy's doing it all in one little page, one little magazine page, just giving everything away. And then this is David Ogilvy's very first ad that he wrote as the head of his own agency. And it was a Guinness Guide to Cheese. And as you can see, it's more about cheese than Guinness. And so he has Guide to Guinness, Cheese Guide to Guinness, all the different types of cheeses. And restaurants would cut this out and frame this, or they would give it in their menu, or people would cut it out and put it in their bar area. So all of his ads were designed to be so good that you save them. The online equivalent would be an ad that's so good that you take a screenshot of it on your phone. So these are some of my personal favorite ads, and most of them are written by David Ogilvy. I just love this style. It's so great. Once again, you could run these through like a neural net to see how a human would look at it, and it's kind of exactly how you would think.
Who are some of your favorite advertisers that you like right now?
I would say it's going to be actually probably more YouTube creators, right? A person like David Ogilvy wouldn't exist as much in today's modern age. He would probably be making videos. He'd probably be on the news. He'd probably be like some sort of like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs character that's all over the news saying controversial opinions. I think he would probably be on Twitter. I think he would be like Ray Dalio, who's all over LinkedIn. I think like Elon Musk has got a great lock on Twitter. those are some founders that almost I view them as kind of like the next advertising mechanisms, because Elon Musk advertises Tesla and SpaceX through his Twitter, but he doesn't put out print ads. And it would be pretty stupid if Elon Musk wrote a print ad and sent it out. So actually the people that I view as kind of like the titans of advertising, I don't think that they're any longer like heads of marketing agencies necessarily. I think they actually are just running their own businesses and are really effective at marketing. I think one's like kind of like Sandwich Video. I think they do a good job with all the startup videos. So if you remember like the Poopery video and a lot of those really famous, the Squatty Potty videos that go viral, I think they are probably the next incarnation of an Ogilvy type character. I think the format has changed from print ads to where you're putting a lot of great stuff inside of this little area to now you have the whole internet at your disposal. Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, all sorts of stuff. And now I think there's like VR experiences that you can experience. I think that's going to be a big thing. So the new titans of advertising, they're in different industries now, I think.
So your favorite advertiser of all time is David Ogilvy, right? Mm-hmm. What do you love about David Ogilvy? Tell me a little bit about him.
David Ogilvy was one of the first people, and he was kind of coming up in the 50s era. Mad Men, that TV show, was based around him. And back then, the way that agencies got business is they won a lot of awards for art direction, right? So sometimes you see like a Ford commercial where there's like a bunch of horses running through a desert and it's like Ford, and you're like, the hell was that? Like that didn't make me want to buy a Ford, but the art director may have won a cinematography award for it, right? The guy running the camera may have won a color gradation award for it. So a lot of those agencies go for that. However, David Ogilvy came along and he was super interested in direct response. I'm sure you can load up one of those videos, those old videos of him back in the 70s, 80s, talking about the real marketers in this world are the direct response ones. And the reason is they're going based off of numbers. So he's not saying, I think this ad will sell. He's putting out an ad and measuring the actual results. And there's many ways you can do that, even with TV. You can go to a website.com/special offer, or you can call a specific 1-800 toll number. And that's how they would track how many people are calling from that ad. And so direct response marketers were saying, okay, if we spend $100,000 to send all these messages out in the newspaper, we have to make sure we're getting 100,000 plus a bunch of extra money to cover our costs. Whereas advertisers in general are spending like Procter & Gamble's money, right? They're spending Tide with Bleach advertising money and just putting ads out there and not really knowing what the return is. They're just doing brand awareness. But I think nowadays, especially with the internet, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, et cetera, Google ads, you can track this to a precise degree. And that was David Ogilvy's dream. He never got to really see that internet age come out, but he loved talking about how much better direct response marketers were than general brand advertisers. That's why I liked him. He was all about the numbers, all about the science.
You teach copywriting. What is copywriting and how does that relate to direct response? High level, what is copywriting?
High level copywriting is just basically rearranging words on the page so that it sells more. Ultimately, you're trying to make a sale of something generally in copywriting. So there's a lot of different skill sets you can have in marketing. You can know how to make videos. You can know how to make images. You can know how to write copy. And copy is the lowest effort, highest return on your money, usually. So imagine that something's going out to 1,000 people and no one bought. But if you change the words around, all of a sudden 50 people buy. Well, all you did was change some of the words around. You didn't make any of the images different. You didn't change any video. You didn't change anything else. So copy is the one way that if you have a website or online thing or even offline advertising, you can kind of like just tweak the words a little bit and have a totally different outcome. And that's what copywriting is. That's why it's so fascinating to me. You can kind of sit behind your computer and make a little bit of a change that makes a large impact. I mean, I know for sure that you do so many consultings for email, cold email, right? And so with a lot of B2B companies, they're selling products or services that are about $1 million a piece if they get a new piece of business. If you change up their cold email, like make it shorter, add some bullet points, something like that, stronger call to action. If you do that successfully and you get someone 5 more appointments per month, they might be making $1 million per month for their business or more. And all you did was change the words around. It's kind of a wild result.
How did David Ogilvy's style of copywriting influence advertising?
I like that he was so irreverent. He wasn't very professional sometimes. The way he talked about stuff was like really funny, kind of reminded me of like Gary Halbert-esque kind of talk. And then the other thing that he did really well was He has a book called Ogilvy on Advertising. And that was one of the first books I ever read with the term copywriting in it. And the cool thing about Ogilvy on Advertising, he wasn't just talking about how to sell some like little supplement or miracle potion or something over the internet. His job was, how do we change the brand of rice that the entire United Kingdom eats? How do we get the world to know that Puerto Rico is an interesting vacation destination? How do you tell the whole world about that, right? So he thought about these things at a much more macro level. And when you think about that, you're not thinking like, oh, how many newspapers can I get advertisements in, et cetera. You have to change the mindset of an entire population. And I think that's very difficult. You have to understand people very well, what makes them tick, what's going to like, tickle their funny bone, what's going to make them tickle their buying bone. You have to understand all those things. And that's why I liked him so much. And that's why he was a little bit different. He wasn't just talking about how to sell a few more doodads over the internet. He was talking about how to influence an entire country, the brand of soup they eat. And I thought that was really fascinating to hear from him.
What do you think David Ogilvy would be doing if he was alive right now?
Ooh, great question. I think he would be invested in a ton of different companies. I think he would be a little bit like a more polished Gary Vaynerchuk type of person. I think he would still run an advertising agency because it seemed he had this knack for leadership and getting people on board. And then I think it would probably branch out into a bunch of different companies. I actually think he would be a guy very much like Richard Branson, is what I would imagine. He'd be a guy like that.
Where should people check you out online?
People can check me out on copywritingcourse.com. They can check me out on Twitter /NevMed. They can also check out my free swipe file, which is where I just collect all of my favorite pieces of marketing. It's swipefile.com. Very cleverly named, right? Yeah, so just check me out there. And we also have a course, like a members area, where we can help write your copy for you, with you, so you learn how to do it yourself, as well as having our help. And yeah, copywritingcourse.com. Check it out.
This video is brought to you by Email 10K. So you don't have a business idea, huh? Do you want to know what the best business to start is, regardless of market conditions? Check out the free presentation at email10k.com. We have over 200 students that are crushing it using this business strategy, even during this time. So check that out, email10k.com. Thanks for watching the video. If you want more interviews like this, go ahead and subscribe. Let me know down in the comments, is there anyone you'd love to see me talk to? Would love to get a conversation going. Who are the big people in the space? Who do you want to see a collab with? Let me know down below. And subscribe to this. We've done 400 videos, 500 videos, maybe even close to 1,000 videos. I actually have no idea. All about entrepreneurship and sales. So if you want more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. I'm Alex Berman.